Guys, T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're going to be looking at the TFC Toys Uranos F4 Phantom, otherwise known as Fireflight for the official Hasbro/Takara version. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to say, if you didn't like Hercules or what the bots offered for that, you're not going to like this, because it's very much that Energon style joints, where you don't really have ball joints and stuff in favor of the ratchets. If you did, then this guy is pretty awesome. I've had him for a couple weeks now, and I have been messing with him all the time. He's a lot of fun. He looks good from pretty well all angles. His head is somewhat of an amalgam of the original G1 toy and the TV show. I'll just zoom in here so you can see. He does have some clear yellow light piping. Works pretty good, all things considered. The bottom of his head actually really shows that light piping. But it does kind of look a little bit red just because of the red of the nose cone behind him. Now, the one thing I kind of dislike about this is you got these 4 screws here that are very, very apparent. I could have dealt with just these 2. These I feel like should have been covered, which is interesting because they gave us some little screw covers that you'll see in the airplane mode to kind of hide some stuff. Like here's one right here. And yeah, so they were very careful to cover the ones on the airplane mode, but these ones kind of stick out like a sore thumb. I suppose though that these little pieces here kind of offset the look so it doesn't look too horrible. I just kind of wish the top ones were covered, I guess. In terms of posability, he's also got these fuel canisters. I believe they're fuel canisters. I don't think that they're missiles because they don't have any of the fins at the rear end. And of course you're going to get his fist for Superion. His posability, let's talk about that now. So you got a pretty good range of motion. This whole arm is on a swivel here, so you move kind of like the whole shoulder pad. Side to side, it's kind of limited like that, but then you can just raise his whole shoulder due to the transformation. So he has a good range there. He's got the upper bicep, the elbow, the wrist is only on a swivel in and out like this. It doesn't rotate. Head, ball jointed, so he has quite an expressive range of movement there. He does have a waist right here, which mine is a little bit difficult to turn one way, but the other way is just fine. Legs are on a ratchet joint. Now these were squeaking when I got them out of the package. I did have to take this whole back assembly off and this bottom piece off, which be careful if you do, there's some little pieces in there. And all I did was give it a little bit of a lubricant in there to stop the squeak. It's not a squeak that's going to break anything like it did with heavy labor. In terms of his legs, like I said, you got that ratchet, in and out ratchet, which the in and out ratchet is kind of, I guess, where people complain because you are limited to how many different poses you can get out of his legs that way. He does have an upper thigh and a knee. No rotation at the bottom there, and then the foot is on the ball joint to kind of move it around, but it is a little bit difficult to work with. He does have that Starscream mold thing going on where he has kind of the little fins on the back to hold him up, so you can't really do a whole ton with his feet, but they work. So usually you can play with it for a little while and then you'll find some way to make them stand properly. That's what I found, at least. So, that's pretty much it for this robot mode here. And this is how he comes packaged in his box, which I'm not going to show, but, you know, you get the idea. It's a box. Let me get him to stand here. You can see I'm having a couple problems, just due to how his feet transform here. There we go. Now, this does, I guess, bother me just a little, is that you have the upper thighs look like one piece, and then it actually looks like a different piece down here. It's not too bad, but the more I'm holding it, the more it is kind of getting on my nerves. Nothing that is gonna say that I dislike this toy. You can also kind of do whatever you want with these shoulder flap fins. You can have them up if you like that look. I personally like them down, more like shoulder armor, but you can pretty much do whatever you want. So for size comparisons here, he's going to be somewhere between a Voyager and a Deluxe, just like the Hercules members. Here is the Voyager Dark Skyfire, and here is the Deluxe Starscream. So you can see the size difference. He's somewhere in between, which is pretty impressive because he makes a pretty awesome jet mold, which we're going to get to now. So to transform him into his jet mode, what I like to first do is remove the wings here, which just peg on the sides. So if you want him in his robot mode without it, that's also an option. And what we do is you take his foot, you rotate it around, and you kind of push it into this slot here. Rotate it, push it up and in, and rotate his knee guards down, and just kind of close this up here, and then carefully, sometimes it's easier to do when they're separated still, telescope these on in until you get them all the way at the top, and then that's where you'll see exactly why his legs looked like they do, with the smaller thigh piece, or actually a smaller lower leg and the thicker thigh. So next, I like to turn his head around just so it's less visible when we get him into his jet mode here. And we're going to take this cockpit and just kind of separate everything out. Now the instructions don't tell you to turn this around. It has it like this, and when you bring the cone head over, you're going to have visible head syndrome. So I just turn it like that, and then we can bring this cockpit portion on around and down like this. And you can see the tail piece kind of did what it wanted to while I separated it. You'll bring this around and then bring this spine type piece all the way around so it separates. And basically, if you have everything done correct here, this should kind of form together to make one solid piece. The spine should fit right up through the center, and then you'll have your tail like this, and just kind of rotate it on up and it'll plug into things like so. Now what we're going to do is flip his fists on in here, and then unpeg this piece like that, and these are going to rotate all the way up as far as you can go, like so, and just kind of close that. And then this whole fist piece is going, or arm piece I should say, is going to rotate on down, and you may have to adjust it to make sure it slides into the side pieces here, but you'll see there's this clip here and that there, and mine don't tend to hold too terribly well when I get them on. One of them usually will hold and the other won't. I don't like this little gap, but I haven't found a way that I can personally fix it on mine. I think it's just an issue with mine. So we'll do the same thing for this other side. Fold it on up, flip these around, fold them down, and plug it in. So there you got the plane. As you can see, my one side here likes to pop out, but that will be remedied when we take his wings and we unfold them like this. Now the proper way to do it is not to have it like this, it's actually to have it angled up like so. So we'll take that and we'll plug this into the side here. Now you have to do it at an angle because you have this tab on the airplane wing that will peg into the arm, and this will actually hold your arms better into position than just this tab alone. So, whoops. There we go. And we'll do it again for this other side. Like that. Peg it on in. And connect it to the arm. Like that. And there we go. We've got the F4 Phantom looking pretty darn good. He does, of course, have landing gear. 2 of them are on the wings here, like so. And the 3rd one is a bit hard to get out. It's located at the front here. Let's see if it's easier since I've taken it out a few times now. The answer is, well, yeah, that wasn't too bad. So there you go. You can put him down here. Now, the problem is when you put his fuel pods on like this, in the bottom, like so, the pegs on it currently are a little big, and he just barely sits on his wheels down here. You're definitely scraping the pods against the ground though as if you try to move them. I'm not going to cut the tabs until I see if TFC has anything that they're going to do with these. I don't think it would be a big issue to cut off just that little piece here where you can see it's not flush. Just kind of trim that proportionate amount. But I'm going to hold on to it for now until we see what TFC gives us to do with it. They do plug in like that. Yeah, so there you go. He does have the opening cockpit, which is fairly difficult to open in my opinion. I've only opened it once. Let's see if I can get it again. I think I needed to put something, there we go. I got it. It's not too terribly detailed. You got 2 seats and a control panel in the front. Nothing's really fitting inside there, so as far as I'm concerned, they could have just left it as a cockpit that didn't open. But there you go, and he is a big plane. We'll come back to our size comparisons here. Here he is next to the Deluxe Starscream. And we will go to our Voyager Dark Skyfire now, just to show the size comparison. He's really quite big when you come down to it. I mean, I was kind of blown away when he transformed into a jet. It's just really nice looking and rather a large toy. So that is pretty much it for the Fireflight slash F4 Phantom mode. We might as well get him to his arm mode. So to get him to his limb mode, the first thing I always start by doing is to remove the wings here, and that's because you got these tabs and you don't want to be messing with anything and forget that the tabs are there. You can also fold in these landing gear, I suppose, if you really want to. So, like that. And then you're going to take these and fold them on in and up to the side of the body, like so. Also fold that landing gear in. Now, you're going to take the nose cone and bring it out here, like so. And we'll take the tail and we'll bring this up, just like we're going back to robot mode. And just so you know, yes, it's going to get caught here. They could have used a little bit more of an angle here to transition, because what it actually has to do is widen this gap just a tiny bit, and then once you do that, it all fits in nice. So you'll plug it in like that. And this is another reason why it's good to have his head facing backwards, because it makes it at least a little bit less visible when he's in Superion mode. So you just kind of angle that up a little, bring his chest piece down, and that'll expose the Energon style connector to rotate on around, like so. And then what you're going to do is take his fist here. Now, you can plug it in all the way. I personally like to pull this on out just a tiny bit, and you'll see why in a second. When you open this up and you plug his fist on in and then close everything, similar to the legs of X-Graver and Neckbreaker, you've got this. and you get clearance. When this is all the way in, there's not enough clearance to rotate his fist around all the way. It usually ends up bumping into one of the thrusters, so just a little bit of clearance there will go a long way to give you some extra range of motion. Now I feel like he has less range of motion though than Hercules had, but it has been a while since I messed with that. You just can't really move the wrist very much. But there you go. There is the limb mode here, and it does work with Hercules. You could just pop off X-Graver or Neckbreaker and throw this guy on instead if you so chose. I'm not going to do that, but you get the idea. You can then, they tell you that these pieces are supposed to, I forgot about them, kind of like peg onto the side somehow. I don't really like how it looks with these on, so I'm not terribly concerned if I don't end up putting them back on. I feel like it just adds a lot of unnecessary bits to this guy. You can do what you want though, or what makes you happy. That's kind of the official way it's supposed to go. I like to put the little fuel pods on here, and it just gives it a more interesting look in my opinion, which is always the same thing, that with Hercules you could put whatever you wanted on him and do kind of whatever you wanted. So there you go, there's the limb mode. He'll probably end up being displayed like this most. So there you guys go, that's a look at the limb mode. I'm not going to show it on Hercules. I want to just kind of save the combined look on all these guys until we get the rest of the aerial bots. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I hope you have a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, a safe one, and I will see you guys in 2013.